Hi, I'm Sherry Harlan Davis, program host for Read Beside You. Today, we are joined by the Reid Foundation, and we have Justin Burkhart and Sarah Roddy. Welcome to Read Beside You.
Thanks for having us back.
And I know you've been on the show before, but let everyone know, what is the Reid Foundation?
So the Reid Foundation began 44 years ago as a supporting organization to Reid Hospital. And we recognized at the time that we needed an organization that received gifts from grateful patients and grateful families to provide an opportunity to give back this charitable monies to Reid Hospital.
And I'd like to always differentiate that, the foundation from community benefit, which we'll talk about later. However, everything with the foundation is internal at Reid, for the most part?
That is correct. And so I think there is some confusion there between Reid Foundation and community benefit. And everything that we focus on is to support Reid Hospital internally. So that's how we're set up with the IRS. And so we solely support, whereas community benefit is more external.
Great. I always like to make that different, to make that very clear to people. Yeah. And just recently, one of your events that we have for the community as well as in the internal Reid is Reid Bravo. Yeah. And tell us about Bravo.
Yeah, so Bravo, the event you're talking about, we have the signature event. But before we have the signature event, we have a lot of community participation. So the community comes together to create brawls, and it can be in memory of someone, in honor of someone. It can just be for fun. But these brawls all serve a purpose to kind of get everybody talking about breast cancer. We want everybody to be aware. We want everybody to know that Bravo exists. The funds that come from the signature event actually go to provide free mammograms to women in our service area. But once the brawls are decorated, they then go out into the community. They're voted on, it's whose is the best. Once that happens, they come back for signature event, and that's when we have our silent auction and our live auction. It's a dinner. It's just a great night to come together to raise awareness.
So people will see the bras, I've seen them all through our service area. My office is downtown, and I've seen them downtown at banks. I had attended another event out in the county and saw the events, the bras rather, through there, and it becomes a competition almost for people that vote.
Absolutely.
And how do people do that?
So they just go on to reidbravo.org. The gallery is there, and then during the time frame before the event, they're able to vote on that. This year, I think the winner got almost 50 or 60,000.
Wow.
Yeah. So it gets to be a bit of a stiff competition. You see a couple pulling away from the group.
I know, and also that creates a big awareness also through social media, and as well as I know just within internal Reid, the various departments. I know different banks challenge each other, so it becomes a bit, like I said, the competition really gets people motivated to look at my bra, make sure, or often just because it's in memory of a certain person.
Absolutely. I know this year one of the Reid employees is actually battling cancer right now, and so a couple different groups created brawls in her honor, and so I believe those might actually have been the top two.
Wow. And also when you were saying about auction items during the signature event through Bravo.
Yeah, so groups and local businesses donate different items. We'll have gift baskets. This year we had a gentleman who donated some decorative rocks that had the pink ribbon, and said Hope and Survivor. West End Bank donated a trip to Kent's Harbor, kind of like a weekend trip. So we have just a bunch of different items. Like I said, silent auction is more of the baskets and the gift cards and that kind of stuff. And then when you go downstairs is where the bigger items are. And so the trips, we had another trip to Ellen thanks to Cox Media this year, and autographed pieces.
Let's talk about that trip to Ellen. That's always a big motivator for some people. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. The winner from last year actually got up and gave a testimonial because the tickets are one of the two, because you get 2 tickets, and it was the VIP spots. Apparently there's only 10, and so she was talking to one of the other people that was in the VIP group, and they got their tickets from LeBron James, so which made it even more of a hot commodity.
So Reid Bravo's really up, really up there. The another event that we have is Reid Ride. Tell us about Reid Ride.
Yeah, so Reid Ride is our annual bike ride, not a race, just a ride. We tried to make it a little easier for families this year by including a 14-mile route, so a little shorter than usual. But it starts on Reid campus, it ends on Reid campus. We're very lucky to have the support of all of the police departments in our county, all of the fire departments that come out and make sure that everyone gets back safe. All of the funds that are raised from that then go to our Shoes for Kids program.
Which is so important as a community outreach person. I can't stress how many people wait. Just the only shoes they might receive that year are from the shoes they receive at Reid Ride.
Yeah, and the program has really developed over the years too, in the amount of shoes that we've been able to distribute thanks to our great sponsors and our riders. But we try as hard as we possibly can to get these out in different areas. We say our service area, so over in Connorsville now and Union County. So we're not just focused in Wayne County, but we try really, really hard and to distribute upwards of 2,500 pairs of shoes.
And how do you determine and do you look for partners, and how can people help with Reid Ride?
Yeah, so specifically for Shoes for Kids, we try to partner with organizations like the Boys and Girls Club of Wayne County because they have the kids there that have need. And so we feel like when we can partner with someone like that and just let them work their magic, it works out so much better that way. But we're not shoe salesmen. We're not in the screening business. We're fundraisers. And so with that being said, we raise the money for the shoes. Sarah does a really nice job with Reid Ride. And then we try as hard as we can to partner with other organizations throughout our service area and get those shoes out because we know there's a need.
And it takes a lot of volunteers to put Reid Ride together. Approximately how many volunteers do you utilize?
I want to say every year it's about 150. That doesn't include the distributions, in which it depends on the size of it. Sometimes there's 30 needed, sometimes there's 50 needed. It just kind of depends on the group, where we're at, how it's set up. But yeah, for the Reid Ride event specifically, it's about 150.
And that's one of the events with Bravo. We're thankful you're helping with the mammograms. I think a lot of times you actually get to individually meet the people that receive the shoes. So that's always very, sometimes emotional.
Absolutely.
Very moving.
Absolutely. We see families, like you said, that those are the only shoes that they get. During the Eaton distribution this year, I actually had a child that was wearing the shoes he had received last year. Obviously, very much too small now, but was excited to get his pair this year to get school started.
Oh, great. The another event that you do is, and it's the Red Dress Ball. So tell me about Red Dress Ball.
So Red Dress Ball, again, it's another gala, a little different than Bravo. We don't have auction items there. Maybe someday we'll incorporate those. But it's just a lot of fun. We want you to come out. We want you, it's about heart health awareness. So we have a band that comes out of Indy. We want you to get out there, dance. It's just a really fun night. But all the funds from that go towards AEDs. So nonprofits in our service area, again, are receiving AEDs from those funds.
So how would, if I was new to this area, how would I learn about Red Dress Ball or or how would I decide to go? Is it if I didn't have a date, can I get some friends together and we'd go?
Oh.
How's that work?
Absolutely. We have tons of group that come. They make it a girls' night out, but they just go to reidreddressball.org. The information about the night, how to get your tickets, everything is on there. We're still working on developing a theme because that's always a really fun aspect of it. So we're still working on that, but we should have that in the next couple
Okay,
weeks.
I thought we were going to have breaking news and to announce our thing. So, but look
Our
forward,
lips are
look
sealed.
forward, look forward to it, and then we'll see how that pans out and
Yes.
what happens on the theme, because that's always fun. What's some past themes that you've had?
We've had Gatsby, the Masquerade. We've had Queen of Hearts. Last year was really fun. It was the Kentucky Derby, so a lot of big hats, mint juleps, all that.
And Justin, what are some 2020 goals for the foundation?
Well, as I talked about in the very beginning, we are here to support the hospital. So I think most importantly for us, we are working alongside of the leadership team, administration at the hospital, and learning what the strategic plan is for the next 5 years, the next 10 years, and to see how we can support the various departments inside the hospital. So, the community health needs assessment, and what can we learn from that, and where can we plug in any of our foundation monies to help make this a healthier community.
Oh, that's great. And so, and the community can learn through anywhere by volunteering or participating in Reid Ride, Red Dress Ball, or participate in Bravo. That actually helps the patients as well as helping internal in the hospital.
We have a great volunteer base, not only from the foundation perspective and our events, but also the volunteers inside of Reid Health and the auxiliary. But absolutely, we couldn't do it without the volunteers. It takes an army to put our events on, and that's why they turn out so well.
Well, great. And we thank you both for joining us, Justin and Sarah, for joining us, and we learned a lot about Reid Foundation. Thank you.
Hi, what seems to be bothering you?
Hey Doc, I got a fever and chills. I really don't think I should be on the road.
Okay, I think that's something we can help you with.
Real-time care anywhere. Reid Health Now, right beside you.
Well, let's see if we can't get someone on here.
Hi, how can I help you today?
My dad is really sick, and I just don't want to take him out in this weather.
Okay, let's get him feeling better.
Receive quality care in minutes, even in the middle of the night. Reid Health Now, right beside you.
Thank you for joining us again. And our next guest is Angela Klein, Director of Reid Health Community Benefit. Welcome, Angela.
Thanks for having me.
And Angela, how long have you been at Reid?
I'm going to show my age here. I've been with Reid for almost 20 years. I started as a social worker in critical care and telemetry. And then I moved to the acute rehab unit where I was a case manager there for, maybe 12 years or so. And then I've been in community benefits since then.
Which your experience qualified you tremendously to look at community benefits. So
having had some experience with some community organizations and making referrals and stuff for patients did lend itself to this position, yeah.
And exactly what is community benefit?
So community benefit is the department at the hospital that is responsible for providing support for programs and initiatives in the community to help combat some of our highest health needs.
Okay, which leads me to ask you, I know that you are in charge of the community health needs assessment
Yes.
for Reid, and what exactly is that?
Yes, so the community health needs assessment is a huge undertaking for us, but it's a really important tool. We just completed that. We do a community health needs assessment every 3 years.
Okay.
It's a tool that we use to help us home in on where we should be focusing our funds. What health initiatives should we be focusing on? And we just completed that for the next 3
Which
years.
is a large task.
Yes.
And to get to complete that health needs assessment, how do you collect the data?
It's a pretty big undertaking. We kind of break it down into primary data and secondary data. So we have the primary data is the community input. Getting people's perspective on what they see as some of the top health needs or what are barriers and things like that.
And when you say you're getting the community, how do you get people?
Yeah, so we did a community survey that we put out into our 8 counties and said, hey, would you please take a minute and respond to the survey and give us your input?
And it was also on social media.
Yes, it was all over. We were really promoting it. We got 1,162 responses, which we were over the moon about because we felt like that was a pretty good response for this area.
Very good.
We also do some key stakeholder interviews, kind of selecting a few people, like folks that maybe work at the health department or folks that maybe work with certain underserved populations or something, to be interviewed one-on-one to get their take on what they're seeing. And then we also did 5 focus groups where we just invited folks in and asked questions and had discussions about, what do they see in their community?
And
What do they
these
see
were
in
all
their neighborhood?
And it wasn't just Richmond. It was
Right. We
various
did
counties.
5 focus groups,
Okay.
and we tried to, selectively put those in places where all 8 counties could be served.
And
We also collect secondary data.
that was my
and
next
that's
question.
kind of the more boring piece of it all. That's the statistical stuff.
and how do you find those people?
Yeah, we have a consulting group that helps us to really dig down into some of that statistical data, and we get stuff from. We take that information from like the CDC, State Department of Health, county health rankings, places like that. But there's over 150 different indicators of statistical data that are put into this community health
County
needs
health
assessment.
rankings are very important. People might see that listed, and people don't realize a lot of times that can help with just federal funding or whatever, where you rank
Yes.
in county health rankings.
Yes. And then kind of once we get all of that data together, then the next step is it's kind of all put together, and then we invite the community in once again to help us prioritize, what are the top 3 things that we should be focusing on over the next 3 years.
And when you, I actually was involved in that.
Yeah.
So can you explain on how you gathered, how people came in from various groups?
We chose some people because of their maybe position or population of folks that they work with, or what organization are they with that maybe would have some good insight.
And it was definitely more. It was work. It
Yeah,
wasn't
it's
a
not
fun.
easy. We
It
put you to
wasn't just fun afternoon with lunch. We worked.
Yes, and so we get those folks together to help us decide where should we be focusing that. And so the top 3 needs out of that came up for the next 3 years were mental health and substance misuse, physical activity, nutrition, and weight. And then a new one for us is ACEs, or adverse childhood experiences. And so that's something that we're also going to be focusing on over the next 3
Can you
years.
explain on ACEs a little bit more?
Sure. So it's adverse childhood experiences are things that as a child you might experience. Everyone has these experiences. Some people have more than others. There was a study done many years ago that was done with the CDC and Kaiser Permanente, and they came up with this study and determined that there are some key things that if those experiences happen for you in childhood, that you are more likely to have different health issues, more likely to have different outcomes later on in life.
Right.
And so that's one of the things. A lot of these things are kind of socioeconomic determinants of health,
Correct.
Which is sometimes difficult to pinpoint, or there's not a quick fix for this stuff. So I think it will take many years of focus in this area, but we're going to give it a try.
And I noticed that replaced from, and we still are looking at substance misuse. And so we also realized that some of those issues that happen within substance misuse. Did you have a parent in your household that used drugs? I know that's one of the questions, or
Sure.
those kind of things happen, and it puts it just sometimes can stunt growth, or people have experienced things that it causes a lack of growth, maturity. So
Yes. There's a lot of different things. If viewers are interested in learning more about the ACEs study, you could just Google ACEs 10 questions, and it will show you kind of the 10 questions that determine some of those things. But we all have them. It's just a matter of do you have supports in your life,
Right.
to be able to make positive childhood experiences too.
And let's look at what we funded last year, or you plan to fund.
Yeah, so once we have these kind of identified health needs, there's a lot of different ways that we support, through community benefit, that we support programs and initiatives. One of the ways, and probably the most popular, probably the most well-known at least, is our grant program.
Correct.
And so we align our grant cycles with our prioritized health needs. So we had last year a grant cycle, and this year a grant cycle for programs that meet the needs of mental health and substance misuse. We also had a grant cycle this year for programs that met the needs of physical activity, nutrition, and weight. And so between those two, we had 38 programs that we funded in our 8-county service area, totaling about $268,000. So it's a chunk, it's a good amount of money, and we're so excited. We're very fortunate that we have a lot of really good not-for-profits in our service area that are doing really good work in these areas. So it's a good way for us to be able to support them.
So if I was interested in applying for one of those grants,
Yeah.
what would I do?
Yeah, so for 2020, we are going to have the same 2 grant cycles again, one for mental health and substance misuse. That grant cycle will open January 2nd, and it will close February 27th. And then we'll have our second grant cycle will open February 28th and close May 21st.
Okay.
So if you're a not-for-profit and you're looking at initiating or expanding a program that meets these health needs, take a look at the grant cycles and see if you might be eligible. You can go to the reidhealth.org website and then go to About Us and Community Benefit. Just click on those tabs, and that leads you right to our page. Or we have a separate website that's called reidcommunities.org. If you haven't checked that out yet, I would recommend you check it out because it's also a data site, and there's a lot of local data there that's nice to see.
So in case someone was looking to support the possible program that they had, they can also look at that. There's a lot of data.
There
on that
is.
site.
So yeah, if you're interested in submitting a grant application, you might use some of the data from that site to be able to, further the strength of your application too, to
And
be
that
able to pull
site
up some
has
local
just
data.
been updated. It looks great. So in
Yes.
case you haven't seen the site, I would urge you to take a look at that
And we're going to have
reidcommunities.org site.
Yeah, we're going to have a budget for 2020 of $250,000 for grants.
Oh, great. Give me some examples of some projects that you have been able to fund.
So as far as grants go, for physical activity, nutrition, and weight, one of them that's been a great grant that we've been able to award was to the Richmond Farmers Market. We help support the SNAP Double Dollars program. So for someone who is a SNAP beneficiary, they can take their SNAP card to the farmer's market. They can say, okay, I want to swipe maybe $10 off my card. They get $20 in tokens. And then they can use that $20 to buy, fresh produce and things at the farmer's market. It's a win-win because it's a great program.
Yes.
Because it's a win for the SNAP beneficiary because they actually get local, great produce at a better price. They can buy, twice as much. And it's good for the farmers because they're actually selling more product and moving more
Correct.
product. So that's just one example.
I just
of a great program.
attended a rural health event, and a farmer shared a story how working through the farmers market, he was able to work with families, and then he was able to sell more product, as well as the families were getting healthy food.
Yeah,
so
it's a win-win. So it's one that we're thrilled to support.
so it's always exciting to see the impact that
Yes.
the grants make.
Absolutely.
And so what's on tap? So these are the big things that you're doing on tap for 2020.
Yes, yes. Our grants are always something we look forward to because it's fun to get to know the different organizations and the good work that they're doing and be able to provide some support that way. We're always hoping to expand in some of the other counties as well. We consider 8 counties to be our service area: Wayne County, Randolph County, Henry, Fayette, Union, Franklin, and then in Ohio, Preble County and Darke County. We have received grants through the years from all of those counties, but it does seem like we predominantly get grant applications from Wayne County. So, we're always looking for the other counties to apply as well.
So listen, everyone, we need other counties to apply.
Sure.
And we want to thank you, Angela, for joining us today on Read Beside You. And thank you, viewers, for watching. And we'll see you for our next episode of Read Beside You.